Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, I'm glad you guys are here. Come on in. It's good to see you all. Make sure my stuff is working here. Yeah, I know I'm trying to get my little my technology here. Hey, good morning. Oh, awesome. Good morning. I see you guys. Facebook is giving you guys a message that I'm on. I have a good one today. Oh, I have a good one. I have a good one. I am excited about. I'm so excited about this live this morning. I don't know what to do. It seems like everything is just starting to unfold. Good morning. Come on in. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Okay. So I know you guys are logging in. You can catch the replay. Good morning. Hey, good morning. Hey, let me know you're here. Say good morning or say hello. Let me know you're here and you're watching. I want to know who's here, who's joining us live. Even if you're watching the replay, just put a quick hi in the comments. Hello, put a good morning in the comments and let me know that you are here. I am glad to see you. You guys, I have a good one. I'm so excited about it. I could not wait to get this out of my belly. I could not wait till Monday morning to get on this live so I could talk to you guys. So I know that you all have noticed that I have been posting a lot about anxiety. It just happened that God just dropped this in my lap. In my coaching practice, I've been coaching several clients who've just been struggling with fear and panic, and it didn't have a name for a while, but we now know it's called anxiety. And anxiety is when you are overwhelmed with worry and overwhelmed with fear till it begins to affect you physically. So yeah, pop in the comments and say hi. So I began to look at this. I had to shift my coaching practice from just helping people make changes in their life to actually addressing the problem of anxiety. And as I began to look into this issue, I found that more and more people are dealing with anxiety more than I actually thought. So I began to go deeper into this topic. So this is why you often see me posting about anxiety, is because these are actually the clients that I am coaching and working with right now to help alleviate some of that anxiety. Also, I found that anxiety is extremely prevalent among believers. And when I say believers, in this instance, I'm defining believers as believers in the Bible, believers in Jesus Christ, Christians, those of us who are spiritual beings right here on this earth, but we're struggling with fear. We're struggling with anxiety. We're struggling with stress. So yes, let me know. Pop in the comments, say hello, say good morning. So I want to get right into this lesson, okay? The more I began to study anxiety, I started looking for who is it that we can identify with currently who's struggling with anxiety. There are some people's anxiety that go to the extreme that leads to depression. But I'm just talking about those little uncomfortable feelings. And I came across a book, I kid you not, my son had. My son is a huge fan of Charlamagne The God. Okay, you guys know Charlamagne The God from The Breakfast Club, right? He's a media personality. Not necessarily someone I followed. A matter of fact, I only knew about Charlamagne The God through my son. And so my son read his first book called Black Privilege, and I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but I have to go back and read it now. But then the second book that my son purchased by Charlamagne The God is called Shook One. And I know this is probably backwards, but I want you guys to see this. Shook One, okay? And the subtitle of the book is Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me. I thought, wow, how God of it that I would be coaching people on anxiety and fear and stress. And there in my very home was a book about a real life personality who's struggling with anxiety. Again, so I want you guys to get a book. I put the link in the comments. I think I'm going to talk about this. This is probably going to be a series. I'm going to talk about this book for a while till we can maybe get some lessons learned from the coping strategies of anxiety from Charlamagne The God. Okay? But the name of the book is called Shook One, and it's Anxiety is Playing Tricks on Me by Charlamagne The God. Now, I have some lessons that I took from the book that I want to share with you all. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is how courageous it is for a television personality, a superstar, an influencer, to be able to express such vulnerability and talking about his anxiety. The second thing I found courageous is because this is an African American male, and mental health is slowly not becoming a taboo topic in the African American community. Anxiety we're starting to have these conversations about fear and stress and anxiety and panic attacks, which years ago we were not talking about, particularly in the Black community. We were not talking about depression. We were not talking about mental health. We were not talking about stress and fear and worry because it's considered such taboo topics in our community. And to see a influencer like Charlamagne The God be so vulnerable to write an entire book and then to discuss how anxiety has tormented his life is courageous. And I want to help further the conversation and further the dialogue about how anxiety, stress, and fear torments believers, torments African Americans in our community because we're not talking about it. And if I can be used by God to be a conversation starter, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. If you're joining in, please say hello. Let me know you're here. Let's say good morning because I really want to know that you're here and it's good to see you. Okay? So let's get right into some lessons that I jotted down. And I encourage you to get the book. I put the link in the notes at the top. Let's look at some things. I want to jot some things down that I learned from Charlamagne The God about anxiety in his book, Shook. He starts out the book with the lyrics from the song from the Ghetto Boys, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. Now, I remember this song. As a matter of fact, if you guys know, a couple of weeks ago, Bushwick Bill from the Ghetto Boys passed away at 56 years old. So I remember the song, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. It never occurred to me that even back then, in that song in the 90s, that this book was about anxiety. That song was about anxiety, that song was about paranoia, that song was about stress. And Charlamagne The God begins to break down how we missed the message from the Ghetto Boys in My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. And he talks about how that made such an impact on his life once he connected the dots and he put two and two together. And so he goes on to talk about how in the book, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, how the lyrics were literally about fear and anxiety of being killed, fear and anxiety of being shot, fear and anxiety that somebody was coming after him. The theme of the song, My Mind Playing Tricks on Me, was all about those anxious and dark feelings opening up. Okay, he said my paranoia is, I think people in the hood experience post-traumatic stress disorder. I think that people in the hood, they are experiencing years and years of despair. That's the PTSD or whatever it is you want to call it. The post-traumatic stress in the neighborhood, just being in the same conditions and expect things to change every day. You know you're waking up, you just wake up today and it's the same thing that was going on in the 1970s. Ain't nothing changed. And I thought, wow, that's powerful. He says, if you're not familiar with the Ghetto Boys' undisputed classic, Mind Playing Tricks on Me, and shame on you if you haven't, the song is all about anxiety and paranoia. Scarface, Bushwick Bill, and Willie D lay out the exact fears I had and others like me have experienced. It starts with Scarface bars. At night, I can't sleep. I toss and turn. Bruh, stress and anxiety definitely cause sleep problems. I'm a living testament to that. Then Face continues. I'm paranoid sleeping with my finger on the trigger. My mother's always stressing I ain't living right. But I ain't going out without a fight. That line could have been about my father. He definitely wasn't living right for years and used to sleep with a buck knife under his pillow. He was convinced Satan was going to visit him in his sleep and didn't want to get taken out without a fight. He goes on to quote Scarface's lyrics that says, I'm deep in the covers. When I awake, I don't see the MF. Man, I've been there. For years, I had dreams of someone pulling up alongside me in my car and shooting up my car. I still see the guy's face, cornrows, thin mustache, no facial hair, framed by a black hoodie. And I know other people who have similar experiences. He goes on and on and on and on to say how Scarface said, man, you need to take a chill, B. He said when we were kids, we would always say, man, you need to take a chill pill. And I know that. I used to say that. Man, take a chill pill. We didn't realize what those were. But they were, and they were called meds. They were called meds. He said, I can definitely relate to the rhyme. Every 20 seconds got me peeping out the window, investigating the joint for traps, checking my telephone for taps. He goes on and on and on about the stress and anxiety that caused his life. So let's get into some of the lessons because I don't want you guys to be here long. I know you guys if you're just popping in, please say hello. I'm talking about the book Shook One by Charlamagne The God, where he talks about anxiety is playing tricks on me. And most of you noticed I have been posting about anxiety lately. So please make a comment. Here we go. Let's get into it. So one of the lessons you can learn from Charlamagne The God when it comes to anxiety is recognize the cause of your anxiety. Okay? For Charlamagne The God, he confesses that his fear was the fear of the future. And that's exactly what anxiety is. Anxiety is worry and stress about the future, about things that haven't happened yet. Depression is stressing and worry about things that happened in the past. But anxiety is about being tormented about what's going to happen in the future. And what you see here, Charlamagne The God quickly discusses with us about things that he's tormented about in the future. Okay? So his anxiety was a fear of the future. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, put a name on it. Put a name on it. He talks about for years, he had an unsettling feeling that something was going to happen to him. He said that sense that your life could literally not know what's going on. He experienced his first panic attack when he was 11 years old. He said, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't even know what it was. All I know is that I had feelings and worried that the world was going to collapse. He discusses his first trigger was Hurricane Hugo. And he talks about how the children were getting anxiety from the adults. So here's another lesson we need to understand. Adults, we have to stop projecting our feelings, our fears, and our anxieties on children. Most of our children are stressed, depressed, because we project adult problems onto children. And he addressed that, how the adults around the room, when Hurricane Hugo was coming to South Carolina, how the adults were saying things like, we're going to lose our homes, we're going to be homeless, we're not going to have a place to live. And that caused stress and anxiety in his home. So recognize the cause of your anxiety and recognize your triggers. Another lesson from Shook One, is get help. After Charlamagne realized that this condition of panicking, this condition of worry, and this condition of stress that happened, that was on his life, he sought help, which again, like I said earlier, is very taboo in the African American community. Talking about stress and anxiety and depression is not something we usually talk about in our communities. But now is the time to have those conversations, and I'm so happy that someone like Charlamagne The God, who is such an influence on a younger generation, saw fit to be so vulnerable at this time. Another lesson is to be honest. Be honest with yourself that your fears, your anxiety, and your depression has now reached a level of being out of control. Being out of control, okay? And that's one of the things he discussed, was that he was panicking that things were going to fall apart in his life. Here it is. He said on page 10, I was scared for my future. I dreamed of being great, and now I was back living with my mama like a boy. As a man, I considered it my job to protect and provide for my family, and I wasn't doing that. My dream of helping a local rapper out and to put the whole South Carolina hip-hop scene on the map was once so close, but now I felt like it was not going to happen. With all that trouble on my mind, I started losing it. The first time I knew something was wrong was when I was driving down Interstate 26 to see Little Duval perform stand-up in Orangeburg, South Carolina. My cousin Kenta was driving with me, and we were discussing all the bad things happening to me, when suddenly I started feeling lightheaded. I literally tried to shake it off, but it didn't work. Then my chest started hurting too. I knew I was in no shape to drive, so I pulled over and I let Kenta take the wheel. I didn't have a word for what was happening to me, but it felt like I was experiencing a heart attack. I started praying to God not to let me die out there on the highway. Kenta drove me to the store, where he bought me a bottle of water, and I eventually calmed down enough for us to continue. But that experience really shook me up. I thought God had spared me, and I made a vow to go to see a doctor the very next day. When I saw the doctor, he performed a bunch of tests on me and then told me, to my surprise, that my heart was fine. In fact, he said I had an athlete's heart. What was the problem then, I asked. What you probably experienced was an anxiety attack, he replied. Ever had one before? No, I said reflectively. This is the first time. He didn't give any further advice or medication. I was so relieved that there was nothing wrong with my heart that I didn't press and just got out of there. Driving home from the doctor's, however, I started leafing through my mental Rolodex. I realized that I had experienced these symptoms before. I just thought they were feelings that came with my lifestyle. Paranoia is a given if you're running the street and committing crimes. I had feared for the future. I had worried that everything was going to collapse around me. I had been convinced that the world was coming to an end. I just hadn't known what to call those feelings. And now I had a word to describe it. Anxiety. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to continue and I'm going to pick this up later. The time is far well spent. I want you guys to continue on. But I encourage you, and I will give you some more lessons to this. I encourage you to get the book Shook One by Charlamagne The God. The subtitle is Anxiety is Playing Tricks on Me. For someone to be an influential leader in the community, especially the African American community, who could be so open and vulnerable about talking about anxiety, I think that is something worth exploring. Now I have a better understanding of how I can help my clients in my coaching practice and how I can better understand the anxiety that tormented me for so long. And as always, I always want to remind you to stand on the scripture in Philippians 4:6-7, which says, "Be anxious for nothing, but with everything through prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, shall keep your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus." This has been Dr. Rashida Leverett. I am doing a series of lessons on anxiety, and I'm coaching clients on anxiety and how to deal with the stress and the worry and the fear that torments us and paralyzes us. If you would like to continue this conversation privately, please send me a message below or please comment below and I will get back to you. We'll set up a time to talk. One of the lessons that Charlamagne The God talks about in this book is that no one is immune to anxiety and stress. He talks about on page 8 how he realized he was not alone. That from models to running backs to successful people he met along his journey, all struggled with anxiety. And the term he uses for it is, we can all be shook. How fear paralyzes all of us. So I'm going to continue on with this lesson later, but I want you to please get Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me by Charlamagne The God. I put the link in the live, and we will continue this conversation tomorrow. Thank you all so much and enjoy your day. And please remember, as always, be anxious for nothing. Have a good day. Bye-bye.